I'm going to introduce myself again. I'm Martha and I'm from North Yorkshire, and I came to Edinburgh to study, and I actually became a Christian through the Navigators, and I still live there and work there. So do you want to introduce yourself again?
Yeah, I'm Johnny, and I live with my wife and my little boy in Leicester and work with the Navigators.
So yeah, for this session, we're going to go a bit deeper, and we're going to look beyond just getting started and how to deepen our relationship with God. So firstly, why might we want to deepen our relationship with God?
Yeah, I mean, knowing God closely is just the best thing, and his love is just intoxicating. The way he reveals himself in glimpses is just wonderful. And God doesn't want us to stay as spiritual babies, but mature and grow up in our faith so that we can be confident and stand solidly with him. And there are always new faith adventures to go on with him, new things to learn, and also an incredible journey of real, true, inside-out transformation in our character so that we become braver and kinder people.
How then do we go about deepening this relationship with God?
Yeah, well, firstly, God is interested in our whole lives, so he can use really kind of anything to reveal himself to us and speak to us. But we just want to focus on 4 things today, and they are meditating, listening, persevering, and praising.
Yeah, I really love the idea that God is just interested in every part of our lives, even in the mundane. So the first thing you said was meditating. Can you explain a bit more about that?
Yeah, so when Christians talk about meditating, they're not talking about emptying the mind. It's about filling our thoughts with God's truth. And so as we read the Bible and we find something that really stands out to us, we can turn it over in our head and kind of chew on it throughout the day. And a really good way of doing that is to write it down in your journal, but also a fantastic way to internalize these truths so we can meditate on them throughout the day is to memorize them with, an app on your phone or just writing them down on little cards.
So the next thing you'd mentioned was listening.
Yeah, we live in a busy world and we've often got a lot to say, but just sitting quietly and patiently in God's presence, just fully occupied with him is a beautiful thing. It's difficult, but it's beautiful. And there's definitely a place for loudness and activity, but yeah, hiding in God's presence, just in sitting in silence is often where we hear the kind of great whisper of his voice.
So silence and solitude is always something I've really struggled with, and I'm pretty sure my partner can testify to that. So the third thing you'd mentioned was perseverance. Can you explain a bit more about that?
Yeah, we're talking about building a habit for a lifetime, and relationships take time, and it's the same with our relationship with God. And to be honest, our times with God are not always that amazing. I sometimes find it helpful to think in terms of the meals that I eat are not always fantastic. So sometimes it's just midweek jacket potato and beans. But you persevere through those blander meals, partly because they do actually really sustain us, but also because occasionally you get something amazing like a steak and chips dinner or a Christmas roast, which totally makes it worthwhile. So I'd really just encourage us to prioritize just daily spending time with God, because a few days on their own may not feel like much, but over weeks and months and years, it really adds up to something amazing.
Johnny, you've clearly never been to my kitchen during the midweek because my meals are never mundane, but I appreciate what you're saying. So we've had meditate, listen, perseverance, and the final one was praise. Can you just explain a bit more about that?
Yeah, so sometimes we might just find that praise just rises up on us. We just want to praise God for how amazing he's been. And that is just that kind of spontaneity is such a natural and good and appropriate response. And there's such a great power in praise to, shift my perspective from me and my problems and back onto God and how amazing he is.
So how would you summarize all this together?
Yeah, I think as we spend time with God and go deeper with him, our relationship with him will just develop and become richer and more amazing over time. There are loads of other things to try. Going for a walk in nature, painting a picture, listening to music, whatever really facilitates your meeting with him.
Thank you so much for sharing all that, Johnny, and those practical tips. And definitely from a personal perspective, I've seen this in action and really affects my own life. Getting started with God and growing deeper with him has just helped me become a Christian through this. And definitely, if you are deepening your relationship with God, it makes it so much easier to pour out into others, which is our call, our biblical call, and very much in line with the Navigator's vision of passing it on. And it's definitely a great adventure to do with God every day of your life. So thank you so much.